Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Wendy Walsh. Come on board. My live stream is about to begin. I will open up the comments so that I can see where you are. I have a very special guest joining me today in my live stream. It's always nice to know that you are here with me. You might be on Facebook. You might be on YouTube. You might be on LinkedIn. You might be, where else could you possibly be on this StreamYard? Twitter. I think you're everywhere. So the only place you aren't is Instagram. And you know why I didn't do Instagram? I'm sorry, Instagram followers, because when I have a guest, you can't hear my guest, but on StreamYard, you can. Hi, everybody. Say hello and tell me where you're watching from. And the first thing I'm going to do before we get into our topic for tonight is, and answer some of your questions, is introduce a guest. And then, as you know, I move over to my Patreon at 6:30, where you can join my exclusive Zoom room. Tonight, in the Zoom room, we're talking about, the evolution of players, Don Juans, Casanovas, how to spot them, why they exist, why they're actually partly good for our survival, but maybe not the survival of your kids. Okay, so my first guest is a fellow feminist, as I like to say, and she is as concerned about women's reproductive health, probably more so than I am. And she is the CEO of something called Pandia Health. If you don't know what Pandia Health is, you better download the app, because you can get all your birth control there. You can talk to doctors by text. It's just an amazing thing. But there's been so much in the news about women's health and women's bodies lately and how it's impacting us. I wanted to bring my friend, Dr. Sophia Yen, on. So let's see if I can do this correctly. Oh, I did it. Oh, no, I like this layout better. There she is. Hello, Dr. Yen. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Walsh. Thank you for having me on. It's always such a pleasure. And thank you for counting me as one of your friends, as I admire you as well.
She is an entrepreneur. She's up in the Bay Area, has more letters after her name than anybody. She's a professor at Stanford, went to MIT, Berkeley, everywhere. I mean, everywhere that a good Chinese mother would be proud, right?
Taiwanese and Asian in general.
All the moms. So I want to talk specifically, before we get into some of the questions that people might want to ask, about this new trend that's happening in other countries and not really here yet, where workplaces are starting to be cognizant of the fact that at a certain time of the month, some women have extreme discomfort and pain. And many workplaces and countries are allowing something called period leave, days off, sick days, just for women who are having their periods. First of all, what percentage of women suffer to that degree?
The American Academy of Family Physicians have estimated about 20% of women suffer such that they are in severe pain that they miss work or school when they get their periods. And whenever I give a talk to a room of like 30 women, 3 of them will come up afterwards and be like, "Oh, my periods are so horrible." And what I want people to hear is, if you are missing school and work, or so horrible, please go see a doctor. Do not suffer alone. Just because your grandma had it, your mom had it, all your aunties have it, all your cousins have it, doesn't mean you have to suffer. We now have medicine and technology. And the analogy I give is, if everyone in your family is blind, you should wear glasses. Don't not wear the glasses because it runs in your family to be blind,
It's so funny. I use that metaphor when people say, "Oh, I don't want to put my kid on meds." Maybe they have ADHD and they need some focus medication. And we know that the psychopharms are so subtle now, which neurotransmitters they tweak. And they'll say, because if they start on those kind of meds, they'll need them for their whole life. And I say, well, if your child needed glasses, you'd get them and they'd wear them for their whole life.
Yes.
It's a great metaphor. So I used to get bad migraine headaches the day before. That's how I knew that it was coming the next day. Really, it would bring on terrible headaches. Or back aches, really bad. Some women get back pain, which could be really bad. I love that we're talking about this now, because for the first time in American history, we actually have more women in the workforce than we do men. And so the workforce, as you know, was designed to suit the needs of a group of employees who had a wife at home. And now that we have more women in the workplace, the needs of this group of employees is very different. I am on a personal mission to say that I don't want to leave this planet until I see childcare, free childcare in every workplace for fathers and mothers to be able to take advantage of. And I heard that in New York, after the pandemic, we are seeing some companies enticing employees back into the towers with just that, free childcare. So that's good news.
Absolutely. It's about leveling the playing ground and not making it such that women work the quote second shift. And I feel that those that are 50 and under, the new generation, hopefully are shouldering their fair burden of childcare and house care, responsibilities. And when you don't have childcare, it affects both of us because both my husband and I care about our children. And we have to figure out, I'm a CEO and co-founder of a company. He's an employee at Apple. If something comes up with our child, who misses work? It isn't always assumed the one with the uterus is that person. And with periods, yeah, it's just so important. I love the concept of paid menstrual leave. But I also want everybody to know, check out pandiahealth.com/periods optional. At the bottom is my TEDx talk on the science and safety of you don't have to bleed every month. We used to bleed.
Let's talk about that. So I'm an evolutionary psychologist. Our hunter-gatherers and the foragers that exist on the planet today spent most of their female life either pregnant or nursing. I mean, there was no Gerber baby food. There was no formula. Your main nutrition until you grew 2-year-old molars to chomp on an animal leg was the breast. And so as a result, women are nursing for shorter, again, because usually the demands of work, the societal pressures not to do that. And as a result, their babies are becoming spaced closer together, or they're getting these very long stints of years and years where they're getting a period every month. Our hunter-gatherer women probably got 5 or 6 periods, and then they were pregnant again. And then they nursed for 3 to 5 years. So that's a maximum 6 years between periods. And then they'd get a few more. Is it true that getting your period every single month can increase your breast cancer rates?
Getting your period every single month increases your risk of ovarian, endometrial, and colorectal cancer. And the reason why is every time you build up that lining, it can mutate. And that's the endometrial cancer, the lining of the uterus. Every time you pop out of the egg, and we don't know if it's the popping or the healing, that's your ovary that's popping out eggs, you risk ovarian cancer. And then the last one I like to bring up, just because I like to normalize everything. We as women suck it up. We don't talk about it, but I think we should say it's normal. It happens. You're not alone, so you don't feel like a freak. 30% of women on their periods get some GI thing. And I think it's because the colon is right near the uterus, and the uterus is going up and down with hormones. And the colon is like, oh, I'm sad for you. And so that either constipates or it runs faster. And when you run faster or you slow things down, you increase your risk of cancer. So by having fewer periods, you'll decrease your risk of ovarian, endometrial, and colorectal cancer.
It's so fascinating. Now we're going to get on that hot topic that America loves to throw into politics, the topic of terminating early pregnancies. I don't even use that word that's used politically, terminating early pregnancies. If you are watching right now and you morally believe that it is a wrong thing to terminate an early pregnancy, I want you to know that Dr. Sophia Yen has the solution. It is called pregnancy prevention. Let's talk about access to birth control, why it's important, and why there are barriers to obtaining it.
Yes. So what brought me along this path was I was a volunteer as a pre-med, in high school at Planned Parenthood, and I was giving pregnancy test results. And I was 15. I ran a pregnancy test for a 13-year-old young woman, and it came back positive. And I was like, oh, this is going to alter her life, one way or the other. And I went in, gave her the results, and said, you can continue the pregnancy, you can continue and continue and give up for adoption, or you can terminate the pregnancy. And she chose.
So you were 15 and you were giving this kind of counseling already?
To someone 2 years younger than me, and looking at her going, oh my goodness, you got pregnant. Like, you're so young, and knowing that I would go on to MIT, UCSF, professor at Stanford, CEO, founder of a startup, and that her life would be a lot harder for her to graduate high school, college, and then go on. And then if we'd gotten to her before and given her the confidence to say, I don't want to have sex unless I'm ready, given her comprehensive sexuality education, which you have a Canadian background, I believe, is amazing in Canada. And they start in kindergarten, they do every 2 years, whereas the United States, even the most liberal states of New York and California, you're lucky if you get 2 hours 3 times in your entire education.
Exactly.
And then if we'd gotten to her with free access to birth control, no money, no barriers, and confidentiality, you can have sex, just don't get pregnant. There's so many good options out there. So again, Canada, free healthcare, whereas here it's kind of free, but a lot of people are not covered. So,
now,
it's access to birth control.
Young women around the country can just download the Pandia Health app and they can get delivered around the country.
Yes, we can deliver to all 50 states. Just tell us where it's at. We move it to our pharmacy. You give us your insurance front and back. Set it and forget it. Let Pandia worry so you don't have to. And then in 14 states, which covers more than 50% of the United States population, we can write the prescription. And so if you want to use our expert birth control doctors that will tailor what we suggest by race, age, BMI, in addition to your medical history, $20 once a year, and then unlimited follow-up questions about birth control. Not about anything else, because for $20, we're only doing birth control, but we're not your primary care doctor. But for that, we will take care of you for $20 once a year. And if you're not in one of the states, you can do some birth control tourism, we say. If you're happening to go to California, Vegas, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Arizona, Georgia, Washington, all of our 14 states, you can get it while you're physically there, fill out the questionnaire, pay the money, $20 once a year, and then we can ship it to all 50 states.
That's wonderful. I think you're doing a really good service because you're preventing the early termination of pregnancies. You're also giving women the right to use their body in the way that they need to. Sophia Yen, it's always a pleasure to have you on my show. Thank you for this important topic. I know that my viewers are waiting for me to talk about the other topics of the day, which are relationship stuff and bad boys and players, etc. It's all connected, especially if you meet a bad boy and you're not on birth control. This could be a really big problem.
Yes, get your birth control together.
Thanks so much for joining. People go to pandiahealth.com. Pandia, Pandia, like panda, but Pandia.
Yes, with an I.
All right, bye. Nice to see you. And she goes, okay, now we're moving on to my regular relationship stuff. I didn't have Instagram or TikTok on tonight because they can't hear the guest, but also I have a really bad cell phone connection tonight. I don't know what's going on. So if you have a question about relationships, please plug them into the comments and I'll bring them up. I have a please help. I need more information than that. Okay, well, it sounds like, Charms, you're doing well here. You say your girlfriend of 9 months really triggered your anxious attachment daily. Her avoidance dysregulated your nervous system, so she moved away. You found someone new who communicates daily and doesn't trigger me. So do you need help? This sounds great. Did you say I found someone new? You did. I think this is good news. Hi, Linda from Pasadena. How are you? Do you got a relationship question to launch us off? There's Linda. Is that where your daughter in the picture on Facebook? I'm seeing. If you have any more relationship questions, I know they usually come flying in on Instagram, and I don't have Instagram on tonight. So if you put in the comments, I should be feeding in YouTube and Facebook. I remind you that this is, it's your sister. I remind you that I do this every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and then I move over to my Patreon Zoom room at 6:30. And tonight the topic is Playboys, Casanovas, Don Juans, why we evolved to have them. Charms, this is an excellent question. Your question is, how do you tell the other girlfriend they can't do it anymore? She's going to cry. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it your job to make sure the woman never sheds a tear in her entire life? Charms, you are not responsible for anybody else's feelings. And sometimes giving somebody the gift of pain helps a light bulb go off for them. They have an awakening. And again, you're going to have to learn to tolerate that other people may have feelings And it's not your job to fix them or do anything about them. It is your job to be honest and authentic and say, I can't go on like this. It's not enough contact for me. You don't have to dangle the new girlfriend in her face. Don't mention that. But just say, we're going to break up. She moved away. It's fine. You're going to be fine. I know you hate long distance, so you shouldn't be there. Anybody else have another question? There's not many people on tonight, I see. Abby, you have a question. You said, please help, but then you didn't tell me what your question is. Abby in Chicago. I'll put you up there. Hi, Abby in Chicago. Do you have a question? I missed Jonathan's question. I have a question. It's about what's a secure relationship means and what do I mean by that? Well, somebody in a secure relationship, and it's usually people who have an anxious or avoidant attachment style who ask me, what is the definition of secure relationship? Somebody in a secure relationship feels comfortable in close proximity to their mate. When they are together, they're often touching each other. They explore the world together. Even when they're apart, they'll be texting each other. Guess what I just saw? Look at this, right? The wow of the world. They are able to give care and receive care comfortably. When they mess up, they're able to say, I'm sorry. These are all the hallmarks of a secure relationship. It's filled with trust and loyalty. You know, a relationship is supposed to be a home for your heart. It's not supposed to be filled with roller coaster feelings or drama or frequent conflict. Although, caveat, the research on healthy couples says that the healthiest ones actually have the most conflict, but they're tiny little border skirmishes on a regular basis that prevent the big fights because they're working stuff out all the time. Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Oh, I'm cruising along. I missed some comments down here. Here's Abby's question now. I liked a guy in college. He had a girlfriend. Now, years later, he reaches out to me. He's single. Well, that sounds good. Promising. We have 3 dates, and then suddenly our 2-hour phone calls went to maybe 3 times a day texts that sound like you rock. I've been following the good. I've been following the be good to become a wife rule. What happened? No. I don't know who told you that rule, but men marry bitches. It's not bitches. They marry people with boundaries. They marry people who are able to ask for their needs to be met in a non-angry, confrontational way. No. If you sit around and wait for him, he's not going to come around. You need to call him, pick up the phone. If you've had long 2-hour phone conversations and you're going to say, here's a line I said once to a guy. I feel like we kind of lost our rhythm here. We used to talk more often, and I don't like the feeling. What can we do about that? Or how can we fix that? Guys love the word how. It gets it out of their emotion, into their prefrontal cortex. They want to fix something now. How can we fix it? Waterboy, this is an excellent question. Anyway, Abby, I hope that was helpful. Don't be afraid. As an expert, do you still allow your neurochemicals to take over in the honeymoon phase of new relationships? Allow is a funny word because neurochemicals are going to do whatever they're going to do. But have I developed my brain to the point that my prefrontal cortex does not get fully knocked out? Absolutely, I have. So I am both in it. I have a lovely boyfriend. We have a secure attachment. And I am both in love and I'm watching love. And it is a great place to be because there isn't anxiety. Because I know the gas pedal might be there, the brake pedal might be there, but I got the clutch and I'm going to be okay. I can control these and moderate things. I'm not going to make an unsafe or unhealthy decision for myself because I have boundaries now and I love myself. But that's a really good question because at the beginning. Linda, is this a question? I got asked out for dinner. I didn't say no, rather deflected until February. It's a difficult thing because he's a client. Yeah, you need to have a boundary conversation about that, right? Especially when it's work related. You got to find a way to say, hey, if we do go out socially, maybe you need to take your business somewhere else. He might be more important to you for his business, actually. But you know what? Having that conversation, Linda, about boundaries is actually like a good step to practicing good communication with him. And it's a good step to like learning about intimacy, like, because it's a very sensitive topic at the very beginning. And I think you should have it. I really do think you should have it. Okay, any more comments? Thank you, love from audio. Oh, I love this. How's Julio? He just called while I was doing my live stream. See, missed call right there. He forgot the time. He left this morning. He's been here for a few days, and he left this morning. He's back on the East Coast. And thank you, love from Ottawa, Akshay. Always wonderful to see you. His question is what? My old girlfriend said she wants to move into my house, so she will get a portion of profits. Red flag? Yeah, old girlfriend. You're not even in a relationship with her now. So yeah, that's a big red flag. Watch out for that. Okay, Christopher on Facebook. I've been single a year. I just got out of a 30-year relationship. I know how hard that is, that transition. I've been watching YouTube videos on how to meet women. Should I watch these videos or meet women through trial and error? I think you should practice and learn. I think you should get on those dating apps. Just keep it light and simple. Don't chat on the apps. Get a phone number as quickly as you can and get on the phone and chit chat and have a short coffee. Do not make this pressure of having a big romantic date with somebody. Just meet people and say, hey, I'm just looking for friends first. I'm new to this dating game. I just want to sort of get to know people. That's totally fine. Keep it light. Patricia's got a great question. Patricia, how to stop being too easy. Okay, so let's talk about who the people are who move too quickly to the bedroom. You would love to think it's just somebody with a high sex drive, but it usually has nothing to do with sex drive. It's always emotional. And it tends to be people who have an anxious attachment style, who are trying to have what's called premature attachment. They're trying to get into the boyfriend-girlfriend zone way too quickly. And the answer is to, learn to have boundaries. And I would talk about it with new mates in early dates. Say, hey, I'm trying to really slow down so I can build some emotional intimacy. Would you like to be a partner with me in that? And you'll find somebody who's going to want to do the same thing. It's hard. I know it's really, really hard. Akshay says, is there research for the best age for men to get married? It's not about age. It's about what you've gotten in your life. Generally, once a guy has his education behind him and he's begun on his career, he's more close to his state of readiness. I should tell you that the average age for first-time marriage for men in America is the age of 28. So after the age of 28, half the men are off the market, ladies. And women are busy in working and etc. All right. I think I'm going to go because I want to get ready for my Patreon live stream. I want to remind everybody, if you have not joined my Patreon, you should join my Patreon. The website is patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. We have an Ask Me Anything, small exclusive Zoom rooms, very private and lovely, every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And I'd love to see you there. Also on Patreon are my podcast, Mating Matters, my books, The Boyfriend Test and The Girlfriend Test, lots and lots of articles. And there's 3 tiers of entry. So come on over, patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. It's always my pleasure. I'll see you next week, briefly. Okay, bye.